Hi, my name is Curtis McGee and I own and operate Curious Plant along with my wife Elizabeth. In this video, we're going to be talking about water and humidity for tropical and Mexican butterworts. We get a lot of questions about watering, especially when it comes to the succulent or what some call dormancy phase of butterworts. The key with tropical and Mexican butterworts is not to overwater. I think a lot of beginning growers assume that since butterworts are carnivorous, they like the same boggy wet soil types that are common with other carnivorous plants like sundews. This is a common misconception. In their natural habitat, tropical and Mexican butterworts like to grow on rocky, calcium-rich soils, which drain quickly compared to peaty bog soils. So based on this, we know that a well-draining media is important. The one I'm using here is a mix we offer containing crushed coral, perlite, and silica sand. As we already discussed in the potting video, a larger pot with drain holes will also help prevent the soil from getting too soggy and stabilize moisture levels. As far as the amount of moisture, we also know from their natural habitats that tropical and Mexican butterworts typically experience warm, damp summers and dry, cool winters. So when a butterwort has its carnivorous leaves, it's best to keep the soil damp at all times. By this I mean that pieces of the media should stick together or to your fingers easily. Feeling the weight of the pot is also a way to estimate soil dampness. A pot that is well watered will be heavier and then become lighter as it dries out. When a butterwort enters its succulent phase, it's best to keep the soil more dry. Estimating the dryness again can be done by feeling the soil itself or weight of the pot. Once the media crumbles apart when touched or the pot feels light, this could be a good time to water again. The amount and frequency of watering to keep the soil more damp or dry will be affected by temperature and humidity. Low humidity and high temperature will usually require more watering, whereas a high humidity and a low temperature will need less. Watering tropical and Mexican butterworts is usually done one of two ways, either overhead or using the tray method. For the overhead method, you want to carefully pour the water in the soil around the plant until it drains out the bottom. Don't want to pour the water on the plant. And we can always dump out any water that's left in the tray afterwards. Some benefits of using the overhead method are that it will keep the soil fresh over a longer period of time as impurities are flushed out with each watering. The water itself will also stay fresh since it won't be sitting and stagnating for longer periods of time around the base of the pot. And lastly, it ensures that some water is available near the soil surface where it can be used more easily by the plant, which can be harder to achieve in taller pots using the tray method. Some downsides of using the overhead method are that it can cause more soil and root disturbance due to erosion. It can be harder to maintain a consistent moisture level, and the soil will likely also need to be watered more frequently. For the tray method of watering, you'll want to set the pot in a small saucer and then fill the saucer with about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of water, depending on the size of the pot. So over time, the soil will wick up the water it needs to the holes in the bottom. Water in the tray can be refilled as needed. Some benefits of using the tray method are that it'll be easier to maintain a consistent moisture level and that you won't have to remember to water as often. Some downsides of using the tray method are that the pot won't be flushed of impurities. Impurities can also become more concentrated over time if water with a higher salt and mineral content is used because the water will evaporate from the pot, leaving the salts and minerals behind. If the pot is very tall or media extremely porous, the water may not be able to wick all the way to the surface where it can be used by the plant. Lastly, stagnation is always a possibility anytime there is standing water. So there's a quick run through of watering methods. Whichever one you use is really a matter of preference and whatever suits your own personal needs. Sometimes switching between the two methods is useful. For instance, when the plant's in its carnivorous form, you could use the tray method since the soil has to be damp all the time, and then you can switch over to the overhead method when the plant enters its succulent phase. For humidity, aiming for levels in the 45 to 80% range is a good goal. Keeping in mind the moisture level in the soil can actually create a bit of a microclimate for the plant, as the evaporating water will increase the humidity slightly just above the soil surface. One of the things that we want to caution against when it comes to watering and humidity is that you never want to miss tropical or Mexican butterworts, as this can cause a good deal of stress to the plant. This is because water gets down in the crown of the plant, which needs to have good airflow, and it can also wash off the dew repeatedly, which just means that the plant has to work harder to make more. We've seen misting and excess water cause leaf deformities, brown spots, and in the worst cases, even crown rot, which the plants cannot recover from. So when it comes to watering and humidity, it's best to rely on the other methods we've covered rather than misting. And there you have it. I hope that you found this video on watering and humidity to be helpful. Be sure to check out our other videos on tropical and Mexican butterwort care, along with other resources at our website, CuriousPlant.com. Thank you for watching.